Let me start this off by saying, I fucking love Wolfenstein. Yes, that's the actual pronunciation. After you learn German for even a little bit, hearing a W sound instead of a V sound whenever there's a W in a German word really starts to get to you, but just for you, I'll go Wolfenstein instead. While my experience with the series before the Machine Game series is limited, I loved the New Order to bits when it came out. Then Wolfenstein Youngblood came out, and I loved that even more, genuinely one of my favorite games of all time. New Colossus, meanwhile, did feel like a step back from what made the games good. I wouldn't call it bad, but it was an overall weaker game than what came before. But that's a story for another day. With Youngblood, I wasn't necessarily excited. I mainly only got it because, hey, it's $30. That's not too much of a risk to see if they fucked it up or fixed what Colossus did wrong. Unfortunately, they fucked it up even more somehow because my entire life is just an unending mess of pain and suffering. If Colossus was a step in the wrong direction, Youngblood was an Olympic long jump. I genuinely don't know how the same game company that released the awesome Old Blood would, in a span of a few short years, shit out this. Now, I don't have any real problems with the narrative. Sure, the BJ twins are annoying at times, well, most times, but honestly I couldn't care less if they banjacks the narrative so long as they don't fuck up the gameplay. But unfortunately that ain't the case here. There's just a lot to dig into here, so to kick us off, let's talk about what the biggest thing that makes this game stick out in comparison to the previous games is, aside from the co-op. There is now a leveling system, and instead of a level-to-level affair, there are now small open-world sections, and a very small portion of the game features proper levels. And instead of doing proper main missions with weight to them, there's a bunch of kind of repetitive side missions they have to do, because guess what? This is one of those games where you have to perform a set amount of faffing about to be able to actually finish the sodden game. Because Brother Towers, the thing you need to do to beat the game, are level gated. Now, a game I feel that did the whole set amount of faffing about right is Far Cry 5. There are main missions you can complete that actually have some weight behind them, like blowing up a gigantic Joseph Seed statue, or driving around as the world seems like it's ending around you while a woman is giving birth in the back of your car, or being the star of a Blood Dragon sequel, and even luck was essentially a COD Zombies Thunder Gun. The villains of each section will enter as you go along, and is a worthwhile story. It has an entertaining cast of characters, and sure, there are some more standard missions, but there are more memorable missions than unmemorable. Here, unmemorable characters ask you to go to this one section, do a fetch quest, go back, turn in the mission, take another mission that leads you back to the exact same place to shoot some shit, rinse and repeat for a couple hours until you can enter the Brother Towers. Riveting. Now, I won't deny the original Borderlands did have kinda generic side missions, yet I praised that game, and that's mainly because the core gameplay is so much fun. Which, if it was the same case here, but I'll get to that soon. Leveling itself feels tacked on purely for padding rather than a truly worthwhile mechanic. You get a base stat boost of 2% extra damage each level incrementally, as well as a perk point, which you can also get for doing side missions. There are a few worthwhile perks, but I honestly prefer how the old Wolfenstein games had you complete challenges for new perks. Certain perks are level gated, so that's nice. Weapons also have upgrades. Each weapon has a set of sections you can modify, and each section has 3 upgrades, one focusing on accuracy, another on fire rate, another on damage, with certain weapons gaining an alternate fire rate, like the later craftwork weapons. The problem is that while it seems like there is an upgrade variety, the only wise decision is getting all the upgrades that result in the highest possible DPS, for a reason I'll get to later, which you would think is the fire rate option, but no. The straight damage upgrades somehow give higher DPS, despite some of them decreasing the fire rate. Better still, later weapons are pretty since you will have already started upgrading your initial weapons using a silver coin currency, and you really need your weapons as strong as possible, so there's no point in even touching any other upgrades. Example, at one point in the game I unlocked was essentially a Wolfenstein version of the BFG from Doom. It seemed absolutely awesome, except it is useless because, just like everything else, being able to fully upgrade the weapon is level gated. So why should I even put a single upgrade into the weapon when I can have the first 4 weapons fully upgraded instead? I only got to use the weapon in the post-game, and fully upgraded is pretty good, which would have been great to use before I had no reason to touch the game again. Wolfenstein 2 also did have weapon upgrades, but they weren't level gated, and weapons were useless without these upgrades. But the big problem with the level system is that your enemies also level alongside you, except for some godforsaken reason they're almost always at least a level above you, which wonderfully ties into one of the worst things with the game, the combat. Now, before I say anything, I played Old Blood on Uber difficulty and loved every single second of it. Meanwhile, Wolfenstein 2 felt a bit bullshit at times, with health dropping incredibly fast in combat and can lead to some frustrating instant deaths. Here, it fucking vanishes before your very eyes. I played through in the normal difficulty, and there were numerous moments where shit would get so chaotic, with Panzerhunds spraying fire all over the place, blind me to every other enemy present in the room, while I'm being filled with lead. The first boss as well is annoying, and immediately after your introduction level, you have to fight a Panzerhund, who was a boss in Old Blood, and super soldiers. The worst part is that they sometimes give you a false sense of security. 1 second you're fighting the Nazis, and are in as open a space as possible, and you'll take the occasional bit of damage, not even that much, but for a brief moment, you're starting to enjoy yourself. Then all the enemies roll a 20 and delete your health. This is just icing on the cake though, because they really just fucking ruined this game. I feel Wolfenstein is one of those games with a bunch of fun weapons you can use whenever and however you want. You're never truly forced to use a weapon, except maybe don't use a dinky pistol for anything other than stealth. Kinda like old games like Serious Sam or Painkiller. Some great games, you should check them out if you haven't. But here, it does the cardinal sin of having you constantly be forced to use certain weapons on certain enemies. There are 2 armor types, lines and boxes, and each weapon has a specific armor type it deals more damage to. So you need to use a specific weapon against specific enemies. For an old school shooter like this is a horrible idea, and leads to annoying moments where you'll shoot at an enemy, notice you need to switch weapons since you're using the wrong ammo type, kill the enemy, and encounter an enemy with a different armor, switch weapons again, kill the enemy, and another asshole with different armor pops up, and you switch again only to realize you pretty much have no ammo for that armor type, yet are abundant in ammo for the other armor type, so you have to use piss-poor weaponry and basically fuck actual game design. How they made it even worse, I don't know. With the right ammo type, enemies are incredibly spongy. I think enemies might progress on a slightly higher incremental percentage per level, as there's a mastering mechanic where as you kill enemies with a weapon, it will get bonus incremental damage each level. Meaning that by the end of the game, my dinky starter pistol was somehow better than Wolfenstein's big fucking disappointment. Even more confusingly, on top of instant death, spongy enemies, and annoying weapon switching, they even managed to fuck up even more. Despite power armor, you can't dual wield assault rifles or shotguns, even though the game before innovated by letting you mix and match your dual wields. Not even the basic SMG can be dual wielded, just the starter pistols, and the game before was the actual FPS cardinal sin of having a shit shotgun. Something that any game calling itself an FPS should get right, but using it in battle, it is absolute dog shit. And possibly most confusingly, you cannot pause the game at all, despite the fact I played the entire thing single player, with the nobody can join mode on, despite literally every other co-op game I played solo knowing what a fucking pause button is. I can't pause in this game in 2019. But I've been avoiding it throughout this, and for good reason, mind you. I decided not to talk until the co-op until now to let you know, even if I didn't have the co-op problems, the game itself would still be shit. But the co-op stuff, oh baby, it's taken it to the next level. Now, before this game came, there have been literally hundreds of games that have come out that have had co-op, and by this point, most developers had figured out how to make solo play enjoyable. So, why this game has solo play that's almost as bad as OI5, I have no clue. Before the game came out, I wasn't liking why I was here, and they said your sister would follow alongside you in solo play, and should she croak it in battle, you'll lose a shared life, and if you lose all your lives, next time someone dies, you go back to the last checkpoint. If your partner goes down, you can revive them before they die, and vice versa. This co-op partner has driven me fucking nuts. This partner has no idea on the concept of self-preservation and can constantly go down all the time, and you cannot simply ignore her, because if you don't, her going down will lose a life, or worse, you lose the level because she died. So of course, you need to go out there to revive her, except she is likely to be in the middle of the combat zone, so you'll probably go down trying to revive her, because, like I said, you have the durability of paper despite being in a power suit, and thus lose a life anyway. I didn't mean to stutter there, but I kinda just leaned into it there, so I just decided, fuck it, I'm gonna sound like I'm having a fit. Better still, when you go down, I try to revive you most times, but rather than just jumping down from the higher balcony, since there's no fall damage, she'll take the stairs like a civilized person, all while her sister slowly bleeds out on the cold pavement. And better still, she might even be right next to you, staring into your pleading and bleeding face, and do fuck all, even though you're in perfect cover. Okay, so maybe you can just upgrade her to be more competent, but no. you can't. Despite her leveling alongside you, she still uses the piss-poor unupgraded weapons, and thus will neither deal any kind of damage whatsoever, and will also have all health disappear before your very eyes. They could have easily made her a weak AI that doesn't have any combat effectiveness but doesn't go down, so I might have a sudden chance in combat without having to babysit, but no, it's hell. I mean, even Shiva in Resident Evil 5, when stocked with ammo, was at least competent and down every single fucking second. You have to babysit this annoying AI who is just literally likely to just get you killed and send you back 15 minutes because fuck good game design. This game is just frustrating combat, bullet spongy enemies, instant health deletion, stupid ammo versus armor mechanic. Hellish AI partner is an absolute mess, and I just really wanted to rant about it. It really doesn't help that the game has microtransactions at launch for a game you had to pay for. Cosmetic or not, launch day DLC or microtransactions at all are fucking bullshit and should not be in a game like this, so I can happily hate it for being a greedy piece of shit as well. I hate this game. Don't buy it. Don't support it. It's horrible. With that being said, I'm really glad I ranted on this video. This video didn't have any real editing. I just wanted to rant. Don't worry, I'm not getting lazy. I just really wanted to rant this rubbish after playing it. This is just genuinely... If we're talking about games released in 2019 alone, this is genuinely just the worst game I've played in 2019 so far, and has essentially killed any goodwill I've had for Bethesda after 76. Which is sounding familiar if you've seen any single COD Zombies video I've made recently. The only hope I have is Doom Eternal is good and Arcane's Deathloop doesn't shit the bed, so let's see how those two get fucked up. See you then.